So, welcome back to our series of videos about how to use the UPLINK website. In this video, we're going to discuss browsing. So you can get to all of our browsing options pretty intuitively enough by clicking on this Browse tab. And there's a whole bunch of different access points that you can use to look at our collections. So if you want to just see every collection in the database with a short description of what they are, the Browse All Collections tab allows you to do that. Again, I do apologize about the CAPTCHA codes. They're necessary for security. And so you'll see just a list of every collection we have. So this will give you just a sense of general topics and areas that we have here in UPLINK. Let's say that you want to see something in a particular format. Maybe you want to look at every oral history that we have or every piece of correspondence that we have. The Browse by Format allows you to do that. So let's say that we click on correspondence. You would get to see all 2,800 pieces of correspondence that are in our database. And we'll talk in the searching videos about these filtering options and how to make sense of this screen. If you want to browse by the institution that donated the collection, this will give you a list of all of our member organizations, and you can check out their home pages. Again, we'll have a separate video talking about looking at institution and collection pages. I'm going to come back to the names in a minute here, as well as the people and organizations. Let's look next at the topics. So Browse by Subject heading will just give you a long list of topics that have been tagged in our database. So we don't go through and tag every single item to the item level. For instance, we can't read through every newspaper that we upload to the database, but this can be a quick way to, again, get a sense of the kinds of records that we have. And then let's say that you were interested in researching the Barnes-Hecker mining disaster. You could click on this, and any item that's been tagged with that is going to pop up. Again, though, there's probably going to be, in particular, newspaper articles about that topic that won't show up in this list, and there could be others. So subject headings are always a really good starting point to start exploring a topic, but you always want to supplement that with searching as well. Places. So if you want to just look at a list of places alphabetically, you have the option to do that. And again, if you click on any one of these, let's say you want to see the 589 items related to the town of Kearney in Menominee County, you could click on that and you would see every item related to the town of Kearney. If instead you wanted to only look at Upper Peninsula locations, you would click on Browse by Place by UP County. And it's broken down here by the county. Any item we have that's related to the county in general, and then any place within it. Town, city, township. That might be in that county. Let's say that you're researching someplace, I don't know, in Alger County. And you know that the place that you're looking for is Wetmore. But you don't know the names of towns around it, whose records you might also want to look at. You can use this map to kind of zoom in and see place names around that town, and then you can look for those places as well. And then finally, people and organizations. So people and organizations have two different lists for each one. So Browse by Person gives you all of the people who have created or donated items. But Browse by Name Subject Person is any person who's been tagged as a subject in a record. So people can show up on both lists. Let's say, for instance, one of the really common people who was researched would be John Volker, who wrote Anatomy of a Murder. If you click on this, you can see we have 491 items that he created or donated, but I think in his case it's probably all things that he created. But he might also be tagged as a subject in other records. So if you're interested in researching him, you would then also want to go to Name Subject Person and see the 105 other items not created by him that are still related to him. And again, I should stress that all of these people and organization lists are not all-inclusive, because we don't go through and tag, for instance, again, all of the newspapers. So just because you don't see your ancestor or the person that you're researching in that list does not mean that we don't have anything about them. Again, at that point, I would just suggest that you go search using the search engine. This is really just intended to be a way for you to browse and explore. It's not intended to be an exhaustive way to search. And then also, we have this resource guides tab, which is an annotated bibliography about major common historical research topics like mining, logging, labor unions, or if you just want a list of all of our newspapers or all of our map collections, all of our photograph collections, all of our oral histories. This is a really good place to start. So we especially kind of promote this for students who need to plan a large research project or maybe need to come up with a topic for a term paper. This is a good place to start brainstorming and getting ideas. Again, none of these are exhaustive lists. They're just intended to be a quick introduction to what we have. So you'll see a list of collections that are predominantly about that topic. It doesn't mean that there aren't items in other collections that are related to this topic. Certainly any of them. Again, newspapers is an exception, right? Any newspaper will have articles about agriculture, the arts, etc., but we don't list it under all of these topic headings. So, again, just know that this is a starting place, not an ending place. So you'll see a list of collections that are entirely or in major part about that major topic, but then if you click on an individual subject heading, you'll get any item that's been tagged with that subject heading. And again, we don't apply subject headings to everything, so starting place, not an ending place. You can also get to a few other things on this page. So if you want lesson plans for K-12 classes that use UPLINK, you can see this external website about that. You can get to secondary sources about UP history with this link. This is a very wonderful bibliographic guide to the Upper Peninsula and many different topics. And then if you want links to resources outside of UPLINK, the other UP History Resources tab links out to other organizations that also have records related to the Upper Peninsula online. So that's it for this browsing video.